Good evening, nerds around the world. Welcome to episode 25 of the Nerds United as One podcast. It's Paul English, joined by Chris Miller. Chris, how are you?
Yeah, you're doing good, Paul. Doing good, Paul. Especially this Star Trek month.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. We will We'll continue our Star Trek month in just a moment. But first, I got to comment on the situation. This is our 25th episode. We're quarter of the way to 100. I gotta be honest with you, folks. When we started this, I honestly didn't think we would get this far. I'm very surprised, but I'm very thrilled at the same time. Chris, what about you? You any reaction to this being the 25th episode?
I actually really didn't give it much far. I mean, we didn't, you, Caleb. I'm sure you guys didn't think about, wow. Well, I wonder where we're going to go. If we're going to get to the 25th episode, stuff like that, and when we're going to get to the 50th. It's not stuff that normally comes to my head. Why I come here is to discuss this kind of interest you and I and other people have. I think that's part. It doesn't matter how big our audience is, but this whole thing is just, it's surprising to say the least how far we have come. I really hope we can do prosperous things in the future. But like I said, we're doing this because we're nerds and we love talking about movies, science fiction, fantasies, comic books, and all that stuff. And we love bringing people on the show who have the same interests. Just nerds having a good time. Sharing these different varieties of interests. It's like I said, I'm just stunned. How far the show has gotten.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I think that speaks to volumes about the mission that Caleb and I had when we started the thing. I mean, when we started this whole thing, our goal, it wasn't really to get famous. If that was the case, we probably would have stopped doing this a long time ago. No, that's not why we're here. We started this show to get our thoughts and opinions out to the world. Meet other people who have similar interests, just talk about stuff we love, whether it be movies, whether it be television, sports, video games, just stuff we love. That's why we're doing this. And if we get famous one day, that'd be friggin' awesome, but that's not why we're here doing this. We're doing this because it's just fun. Every time we do this show, no matter what the topic is, we always wind up having a good time doing it, and that's why we keep doing it. It's not because we're trying to become multi-millionaires. We're not trying to be the next John Campy or anything like that. We're here having fun. I think that's why we've lasted 25 episodes, and I hope we last another 25, and hopefully a whole lot more. So let us continue with Star Trek month. It is episode 4 of Star Trek month, and that means it is time for Star Trek Voyager. Now, I imagine the audience who views us, you probably get a little bored hearing Chris and I agree all the time. We both love the original series. We both love Next Generation, Deep Space Nine. You're like, it's getting kind of boring watching these guys agree on everything. Well, your boredom is over. It is time for debate, because unlike those other 3 shows, our opinions on this particular series are different. I enjoyed Voyager very much. Chris despises it. So throughout this show, we are going to talk about the characters, the seasons, what we like about them, what we don't like, and we will get our views about why we like it, why I like it, why Chris hates it. It is debate time. It's time for some fun. So I hope you're going to get ready for that. I hope you're getting excited. I hope you're looking forward to it. All right, Chris, you ready to jump into this?
Oh yeah, definitely ready to tackle this particular series.
All right, so if I recall my reading on the history of Star Trek correctly, the premises of Voyager started, I believe, in 1994, around the time that Next Generation was coming to an end. At the same time, Deep Space Nine was ending its 2nd season, and audience reactions to it showed Paramount Studios that they were willing to embrace 2 Star Trek series on the air at the same time. So Paramount approached Rick Berman and Michael Piller, who by this time were the established heads of Star Trek, and said, hey, can you give us a successor to Next Generation? Can you give us something else to it? They said yes, and they brought on Jerry Taylor, who, if I remember from Next Generation, wrote a lot of episodes for the Next Generation to help co-executive produce this new series. They came up with the concept of Star Trek Voyager, which was a Starfleet crew lost in an unknown region of space 75 years from their home, and they start looking for ways to get back home because they ain't going to settle for a 75-year voyage. And that was basically the whole premise. Another prospect they brought in was giving a greater role to the Maquis, which had been established first in Next Generation, then in Deep Space Nine. The Maquis, of course, are the Federation colonists who stayed in the demilitarized zone after the treaty between the Federation and the Cardassians. They were considered terrorists by many people, blah, blah, blah. There are several Maquis members aboard Voyager during this journey, so a subplot is everyone trying to get along. So that is the premise of Star Trek Voyager. So I did think that was pretty interesting. You know, they're in an unknown region of space. They're on their own. You know, there's, for lack of a better word, people, there are terrorists aboard Voyager. I mean, that's how people saw the Maquis. So everyone trying to get along and all that. It was a very interesting concept. Chris, what do you think about the concept? Is that one of the things you hated, or were you okay with it?
I think it was kind of okay with it. There was sort of tension between, the Federation crew members and this kind of paramilitary organization, these group of colonists trying to fight for their homeland, I do feel that in the earlier seasons of Voyager, throughout the whole series in particular, they weren't strong enough in focusing on that conflict. I think, some aspects of it, that were very weak, and their handling of this whole thing, this whole conflict between the Federation and the Maquis, it was something that was very, something that was very, it was very weak. It was, it was very soft. It just. I felt there was much they could have explored with it. They could have seen how these different sides didn't get along with it. I felt there was much potential in terms of drama, but I felt it wasn't really seen. It wasn't really fulfilled.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Okay. Okay. All right, then let's move on to the cast. And this cast once again shows you, what we can accomplish if we don't let stupid things like racial and gender orientation, get in the way of things. We have for the first time a female captain, Captain Kathryn Janeway, in command of the most advanced ship in the Federation, stranded 75,000 light years from home, and she knows how to handle herself. She knows how to handle her crew. What I liked about Janeway is I always saw her as almost like a female Kirk. Like, this was a badass who knew how to command. She did not hesitate to use any weapon she had at her disposal, and I really liked her, to be honest with you. She knew she had that edge, but she also could be sensitive at times. One of my favorite scenes, actually, that shows that kind of combination of sensitivity but tough, badass attitude. It's actually in the first episode when Ensign Kim comes on board to meet Janeway for the first time, and he's standing at attention. He's all stiff, and Janeway's like, "Welcome to Voyager, Mr. Kim." He's like, "Thank you." He's like, "Thank you, sir." And Janeway looks up, her like, "Mr. Kim," and she sees that he's standing he's totally stiff. He's like, at ease, Ensign, before you sprain something. Okay, you need to chill out, okay? And then she goes right into this badass tone, right? Mr. Kim, despite Starfleet protocol, I don't like being addressed as sir. I'm sorry, ma'am? Ma'am's acceptable in a crunch, but I prefer captain. Boom! I was instantly sold on her. Okay, this woman knows how to command. she is gonna be great. I like her already. So I like Janeway. Chris, floor is yours. Janeway, do you like her? Do you not? Is one of the reasons you hate the show, or are you okay with her?
I mean, I'm okay with her. I thought she was a really well done character. She was very strong-willed, and she was very. She was very. How should we say this? Yeah, she was a very strong-willed character, and she had a lot of courage, a lot of bravery. I mean, she had a lot of moxie, as I like to call it. She didn't back down for a fight. She wasn't afraid. Well, although she didn't go to dark corners like Cisco did, she wasn't afraid to take a step beyond several decisions that she made on the show. You're kind of like, did she really do that? I mean, it's like, I can't believe she actually did that. I mean, she wasn't afraid to take risks. I mean, especially in the movie trying to get her crew home, she had to make very tough decisions. She was a very woman of determination. So I had to call it. I wouldn't call it the best Star Trek captain, but yeah, she was a very well done character, really well written character in her own right. And then they have the great actress that played her, of course, Kate Mulgrew. So I'm really fond of this character.
All right. Okay. Well, something we can agree upon at least. All right. So let's move on to Commander Chakotay. He was the captain of the Maquis vessel that got stranded in the Delta Quadrant. He was the head of the Maquis crew. He became, when they joined this Voyager crew, he became the first officer. Yeah, although I haven't seen a whole lot of examples, I've often been led to believe never to trust Hollywood when it comes to properly interpreting Native American customs and traditions. And that actually brings up a point. Like, this was, if this is correct, I believe he was the first Native American character in a Starfleet crew. It was on a Starfleet ship, which I thought was cool. Show some respect, show some love for him. Tough. I like Chakotay. I mean, there really wasn't anything that I thought was like, oh my god, that's so cool about him. But I mean, and truth be told, I suppose that's the problem with like a lot of the characters on this show. I guess I have to admit, like, none of them really like stood out in the way that other characters did, but they were all good in their own way. Though I liked Chakotay. I didn't really have a problem with them. What about you, Chris?
I mean, I'm with you. You can follow me. So like, I wasn't like head over heels with the character. I mean, I did criticize, his development. I was really critical of his development throughout the series. I did like his, I thought he was a very loyal. I thought he was a very strong-willed first officer, of course, But the thing about his relationship with Janeway, I mean, he was her voice of reason, I mean, when it comes to decisions, it's like in particular, when he says, "I don't think we should do this, Kathryn. Maybe you're going about this the wrong way." He wasn't afraid to say what he felt. He always gives her, he always says to her the things, nobody else would have dared to say to her. I mean, he was really kind of her guide. The great thing about his character is like, he was a positive, representation of Native Americans in science fiction. He was probably the most prominent example, and he's probably. I thought he was okay. He was an okay character. Really,
yeah.
solid.
One other thing that I did like about it, he was, in addition to like being the Janeway's voice of reason, he was also the voice of peace. Like, I think he was like not only was he like the head of the Maquis, but crew members on board, but he was the one who wanted them to get along. Like, he was the one always trying to make sure that the Federation crew and the Maquis crew, he always tried to make sure they get along. And an example of that is like the season 1 finale, when the Maquis crew members aren't really adapting well to being Starfleet officers, and they're like, well, why don't we just do things our way? That's what we're used to. Like, and Chakotay is like, okay. He just beats the guy up and like, that's the Maquis way. You want to keep doing that on this ship? No? Start following the goddamn rules. We need this ship in order to get home. Sorry to tell you. I mean, he never had to use what he thought was right to, just try to keep peace. He was always the voice of peace among the Maquis crew members, trying to make sure everyone got along and all that. So I liked him that way. So let's get the other main Maquis character. That was Elana Torres. She was the chief engineer of the ship. And while there were a lot of great moments where I thought it was interesting, she was half Klingon, half human. And while that did lend to some great character moments for her, and I thought she was a good character, like a lot of the crew members, not much to say about her. I mean, the half Klingon, half human, that did lend to some good character moments, but again, not much to say about her, I guess. Is there anything you can say about Torres, Chris?
Not really much. With you, not really much you can say about her. I'm not sure I would call her one of the great Star Trek characters. She, like I said to her, like you, she had her character, her interesting moments. She is a half human, half Klingon being. And that kind of identity was often the focal point of some of the episodes she was in. I mean, she could be very combative. I'm going to say adversarial, but that seems to be the way with her in most of these episodes. But I'm not sure I was a big fan of her romance with Tom Paris. I thought it was an okay way to put these two together. It was just, I'm not sure it's like one. I'm not saying it wasn't a pairing that I was a fan of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I think she was an okay character.
Yeah. Speaking of Tom Paris, let's get to him next. He's played by Robert Duncan MacNeil, and I have to be honest with you, this was one of what I thought, this was their only mistake. I thought they made a mistake in terms of casting. Not that I have anything against Paris. I mean, he was an okay character, but if you recall, he played Cadet LeConnell in the Next Generation episode, The First Duty, and I thought and before I even watched Voyager, I'd seen that episode of Next Generation a bunch of times, and I'm like, well, they could have done the exact same thing with Paris's character art if he returned as Cadet LeConnell. Why didn't they just bring him back as that character? I mean, like I said, nothing against Tom Paris. I just think they could have done the exact same thing they did with him that they could have if they brought back, his previous character for Cadet LeConnell. So, I mean, that was I thought their only mistake in casting. They should have brought Robert MacNeil to play LeConnell instead of Paris. That's it. Like I said, nothing against Paris. I just I think I would have preferred seeing LeConnell come back because the way his character exited in Next Generation, I thought that would have been cool to see him come back. So that's all I gotta say on Paris. Like I said, nothing against him. I just would have preferred Robert play LeConnell again. Chris, I know you love Next Generation. Were you a fan of The First Duty, and would you have preferred to have seen Robert MacNeil come back as LeConnell, or were you okay with him being a new character?
The First Duty, I feel, is one of the best episodes that Next Generation had to offer.
Absolutely.
Yes, I mean, I love, that whole scenario with Wesley, and the situation they're wrong. Then, there's several ethical and moral quandaries in the episode, but most notably with Nicholas O'Connell, played by Robert Duncan MacNeil. I thought he was an okay actor. I thought he wasn't the best, especially when it came to this role. Tom Paris is kind of a cocky, brash sort of character. I mean, I just, I'm not sure I wasn't a fan of the way MacNeil portrayed him, I mean, Tom Paris did have his interesting moments, believe me, but I'm not sure it was, the character, that I was, a fan of. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that it's somebody in this a character that I gravitate towards. Especially with MacNeil's performance, I thought he was a character at best.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, going back to the First Duty for a moment. my dad actually told me that, and I don't know if they still do this, but my dad told me that in the U.S. military, like different military camps and stuff, like they would actually show young military, be it the Army or the Navy or the Coast Guard or anything like that. They would actually, senior officers actually show the younger officers that episode. Of like, this is what they're saying, what Captain Picard said to Wesley, like the first duty of every Starfleet officer is the truth. That holds true for our military too. So I thought that was really cool. So we mentioned Chakotay being the voice of reason for Janeway. Another person who was the voice of reason for Janeway was Tuvok, played by Tim Roth. Now, he was one of the better characters on the show. A lot of really good episodes had Tuvok playing a major role in it. I like Tuvok. I thought he was a good character. One of my favorite episodes was actually the episode where we see Tuvok on the ship of the Excelsior under Sulu's command. That was season 3 episode. But yeah, I like Tuvok, and I like his interactions with Janeway and his interaction with Neelix, which we'll talk about in a moment. But for me, I thought Tuvok was one of the better characters on the show. I liked him. What did you think, Russ?
I felt like he was like one of the better characters on the show. One of the better written characters, especially. I mean, Tuvok, so like has a lot in common with Spock, and a lot not in common. Tuvok is a full Vulcan, Spock, who was half Vulcan, half human. I mean, he had a very complex personality, some internal conflict to him. He was very much your average Vulcan, on the show, logical, rational to the letter. But he did have his moments. He did exhibit moments of being annoyed, and has sarcasm, and especially coming, mostly directed, with Neelix, There's several of his moments on the show, He did, and he was a very noble and very wise character. I always enjoyed the way that Tim Russ played this character. So I thought he was like a better, like a great character all around.
When you get to the later seasons of like the original series, like seasons 2 and 3, and you start to see like Kirk and Spock's friendship more emphasized throughout the later episodes of like seasons 2 and 3. One of the reasons that I really liked Voyager was because of Janeway and Tuvok's friendship. I mean, it kind of echoed, the whole Kirk Spock friendship. I thought I actually enjoyed that, seeing that kind of echo. Like, there's this human, there's this Vulcan, and they're best friends. And I mean, like, even they go on. I mean, Janeway's even said to Tuvok on more than one occasion, out here, you're the closest thing I have to a family, and Tuvok would always say, I feel the same way, Captain. So I like the way they handled that. I like the way they kind of echoed that friendship. All right, so let's talk about Neelix. He was definitely a interesting character, to say the least. He's always, quirky, always providing some comic relief. He was, although at times he would get a little annoying at times. You're like, okay, Neelix, chill out. But I didn't really have a problem with him. Did he bug you at times, Chris, or were you okay with him?
This was an okay character. He was definitely, bright, cheerful personality. Quite gregarious. The most optimistic of the Voyager crew. That he's supposed to be the chief morale episode. So showing support. For the crew. He did seem quite. He seemed quite. He did have his moments where you're like, oh, Neelix, please, especially his moments with Tuvok. He sense the annoyance he has with him. But yeah, he was he was an enjoyable character.
All right. Let's talk about a character who actually reminds me of like Data in some ways, and that's the Doctor, played by Robert Picardo. He definitely lent himself to some moments, but I like the way he developed. He started like purely a hologram, like this grumpy guy. But I like the way he developed. I like the way he slowly becomes like almost more human. Like he develops, feelings. He develops a conscience almost, I would say. Like I thought they did a great job of developing him throughout the show. Chris, the Doctor. Well, I'm a little upset though. They never gave him a name. Like I don't think he ever got a name. They always just called him the Doctor. It's like, okay, come on, guys, give him a name for goodness sake. Chris, did you like the Doctor?
I thought he was okay character as well. He definitely had a sardonic, almost kind of ice. I don't want to say maybe an icy personality to him. He definitely, did it. He definitely did his best to, you know, he definitely did his best as his, chief medical officer of the ship. And the interesting things about this character is his discovery of his humanity. Yes, he is this, kind of, the machine, this kind of hollow program, but as throughout the show, he begins to evolve. He discovers, and one of, facets, that are human-like in some respects, and Star Trek's most of Star Trek's alien, or should I say, non-human characters, are a lens to who we are, to examine, to talk about who as a commentary of us as a species, and the Doctor is no different. So I thought he was all right character, an interesting character, no doubt.
All right, let's move on to Ensign Kim, and I thought he was an okay character. Thing is, and I probably should have brought this up earlier. Voyager is the series I know the least about. I never, when I was on, I never got into it a whole lot. There were never any, and I never saw any, the reruns on Spike TV. I never watched Voyager in its entirety when it was on another network. So I didn't get a chance to, really watch Voyager until we got Netflix in my house about a year or so ago. So I don't remember too much about Harry Kim. I can't remember too much about it. He was an okay character. I didn't really have a problem with him. I don't know, maybe they could have done something more with him. There's really not much I can say about it. He's just, not that I didn't like him. He just never really stood out to me in any way. I did like he was the only guy who really stood up for Paris. Everyone else kind of looking at him yeah, this guy, no, not good. Kim's what's wrong with him? He's okay. So I mean, that's all I got to say about Kim. Can you add anything to it?
Not really. Anyway, I mean, this is not This is not a character I was completely a big fan of. I mean, he did have his moments. It's just sort of the naive young ensign. Especially going on in this way. And this first mission. But he didn't have a lot of growth throughout this series. He had a very interesting relationship with Kathryn Janeway. He was almost sort of like a mother to him in several respects. They had kind of a mother-son relationship, and I also felt like his separation from his other family, he finds his family here.
Yep.
And Kim had a lot of learning to do, especially being separated thousands of light years away from his own home. But I thought he was okay to character at best.
Okay. All right. The last one I want to bring up for now is Kes, and Kes is one of the more disappointing characters, not because I didn't like her, but because I did. It's just she was so underdeveloped. They could have done so much more with her. And I wish they kept her around. She left after the third season. I'm like, man, I don't know why. I wish she would have stayed around. I wish they worked harder on her because I thought she was an interesting character. They could have done a lot with her, and they just didn't. She was just kind of there for 3 years, and then she left. They could have done so much with her, but they kind of threw her aside. I'm really sad about that because, although she never really did much, I did like her. So I wish they would have done more with her. Chris, do you think they could have? Would you like to see Kes hung around? Would you like to see her develop more? No, what do you think about Kes?
I mean, I thought about you. I do believe I think she had kind of a sweet and sensitive personality to her. Mm-hmm. But I think she wasn't all that she wasn't all that developed. She was relegated to the background. I think they just didn't know what to do with her. Maybe I'm not sure. I'm not sure they had any kind of clue what kind of direction they could have taken her in. I'm not sure she was the best character the whole line. Essentially, I felt that character to me was kind of a missed opportunity. They should have explored her character a bit more.
Mm. All right, we will we'll talk about there's obviously one more character that has brought up, but She has not arrived yet. At this point, we will get to her, obviously, when we start talking about season 4. In the meantime, let's get to season 1 of Voyager. Solid season all around. Like with Next Generation, like with Deep Space Nine. Season 1 is mostly about introducing the characters, establishing their beginning personalities, kind of opening the doors for them to develop along the way. We get introduced to some new friends, we get introduced to some new enemies. Obviously, we meet Kazons, who are going to be a problem for Voyager early in the series. It was a good season all around. Not a whole lot of standout episodes for me. But it was an okay season all around. What did you think, Russ? Okay, we're gonna get some conflict here.
God. Oh, this season, like I said, it was so bland, boring, uninspiring, stupid, and just all around bad. It's just it wasn't a very good season. The pilot episode, I suppose, was a bit okay, but but it didn't grab me. It's just and this is kind of the point where Star Trek is kind of losing its steam. The most of the episodes are derivative. Most of them are copies of episodes for the Next Generation. It's just and the characters are not, or the weakest. They had to be the weakest aspects of the show, no doubt about it. It's just it's I feel it's not really a great start to the series. And there are going to be some problems along the way. Oh my lord.
Yep. All right. I honestly, I gotta think my thoughts about season 2 are kind of the same as season 1. Nothing really stood out about that season. It was just, okay. I do think we got a little bit of character. I think we got some more character development. But again, nothing really stood out among season 2 to me. I liked it. I thought it was okay, but I kind of see a point, Chris. The first 2 seasons, really nothing stood out. Mostly just kept continuing to introduce their basic personalities, open doors for them to develop. Nothing really big happened in the first 2 seasons. Nothing that I remember, although Voyager is the series I remember the least about because it's the series I've seen the least amount, so that could be why. I may have to rewatch this series again in order to, really remember more stuff, but I can't remember too much about season 2 either. Chris, what about you?
Not really much about season 2. Like I said, it's not, it's not that. It's like the first season. It's not anything truly standout. It's not really truly a standout season. They have trouble finding their footing with this series, and I don't. And it just wasn't great television. It was stale. Like I said, the plots were a bit recycled, derivative. They were uninteresting. It's just lazy storytelling, and writing, and acting. It's just not something that particularly what I would call great television.
Yeah. All right, season 3 for me. I think this is when they finally found their footing. To me, season 3 was a far better season to me. The episodes were better, and there were 2 I can remember that really, really stood out. Maybe a third one, although this could have happened in another season. I can't remember. The first one was episode 2 of season 3. Tuvok is infected with this virus that's affecting his mind. It's slowly killing him. And to help him out, Janeway does a mind meld with him, and we travel back to Tuvok's time aboard the Excelsior under the command of Captain Sulu. The timelines during the events of the 6th Star Trek movie, The Undiscovered Country. And oh my God, that episode was just solid. First of all, seeing George Takei back, that was just awesome, seeing him back as Sulu. That was fun. So I admit that was why. But one of my favorite scenes, actually, when Tuvok's resting and Janeway's going over the logs of the Excelsior. Kim joins her about this, and they come to the realization that Sulu forged his own logs of Starfleet, and Kim is a Starfleet. A captain forges his own logs? And Janeway just goes oh, of course. Think about the timeline they were in. The Alpha Quadrant, largely unexplored. Romulans unknown. Klingons hiding in every corner. It's a different time. And he just talked about what a cool time it was to be a Starfleet officer. What's one thing I noticed? Kirk, Picard, Cisco and Janeway, like, they all seem to kiss Kirk's ass, if you've noticed. I mean, Janeway does that in the same thing. He's like, you know, when she talks about Kirk and Spock and McCoy, like legendary officers who belong at a different time. I mean, the line she gives is, they'd all be kicked out of the academy today, but I would give anything to ride shotgun with those officers. I mean, it was a solid episode. I loved it. I liked it very much. But another episode I really, really loved. Shoot, I can't remember the name of it, but it's the episode where the Voyager crew meets this alien race, and they discover that they're descendants of dinosaurs. Like, this group of dinosaurs survived the extinction on Earth 65 million years ago. They evolved in secret over millions of years. Then they build spaceships, abandon the planet. They head to the Delta Quadrant. They make their new home there. And oh my God, this episode was so well written. The acting was so great. I can't remember the name of the episode, but that it was one of the best episodes of the series. I freaking loved it. Oh, just solid episode all around. So yeah, for season 3 for me is when they started to find their footing, and then of course the finale where we meet species 8472, and they're kicking the Borg's ass. So they actually develop the Voyager decides to forge an alliance with the Borg in order to navigate their territory. I mean, yeah, season 3 for me was a huge improvement over the first 2. This is when they found their footing, and I thought it was such a great season. Chris, did you like season 3, or was it still lame to you?
It was still lame. Well, it is improved in some ways, production-wise. The writing is still lame. You know, like I said, there's not a lot of starter episodes, especially in this season. Flashback was okay, but it wasn't a great, say, trials and tribulations. There's not really a lot of standout episodes. You know, the Swarm was pretty bad. False Prophets was pretty bad. I did like the two-parter Futures End. I mean, I like the first part of that two-parter, but you know.
That's the one with Sarah Silverman?
Yeah, that was
a good one.
Yeah, that was quite enjoyable in its own right, but this two-parter, you know, didn't really live up to the setup. Like I said, it's not great Star Trek television. It's not great television, period. I mean, you know, they had that awful Q episode. Oh,
are you kidding me? I loved that episode. That was so enjoyable.
No, it was. Are you kidding?
Not enjoyable. It was very well written. The drama in it was great. I mean, just the exploration of like what is a life form, you know, rights to die and all that stuff. Like, I freaking loved that episode. That was a great episode.
You're talking about Death Wish.
Oh, that's a Q who wants to die?
No, that was season 2, I think. In fact, that was one of the best things about season 2, Death Wish.
Oh man, I can't see. I gotta go back and watch the voice. I can't remember.
The one I'm talking about is the one where Q wants Janeway to have.
Okay, that was funny as hell. Seeing them interact, that was hysterical. I was laughing my ass off the whole time.
No, this story is completely. This movie, this episode is just lame.
No! I am fighting you to the bitter end on this one. No. That episode was laugh your ass off enjoyable.
This episode is some shit.
This episode was awesome. Q was amazing. The interactions he had with Janeway, that was awesome.
It was so dumb and embarrassing. It was awful.
I loved it. That was so fun.
Well, lame.
No, it wasn't. I'll fight you on that one. I'll fight you on that one. That episode was awesome.
It's a bullshit.
No, it wasn't. That was fun. It was fun.
No,
fun. No, make me. That episode was fun. You shut up.
No. No. Okay, God. But Scorpion, that was fucking awesome, you know. It was ambitious as fuck, you know. Species when they brought in species 8472 scared the living shit out of me. This is like one of the best alien species that Star Trek had came up with in some time, man.
They look scary, and the fact they beat the shit out of the Borg, I mean, holy shit.
Man.
Woo.
I mean, that's quite a stunner right there.
They can beat him so easily.
Oh yes, definitely.
All right, so let's move on to season 4. We obviously see the Scorpion conclusion. This was a season where Kes left. Like I said, I wish they developed her more because she really got relegated to the background. But this is a season where we are introduced to 7 of 9, played by the lovely Jeri Ryan. She did not get pushed into the background one bit. They did a great job developing her. I liked her character. So, Chris, before we talk about season 4, talk to me a little about 7 of 9. This half human, half board, trying to adapt to the crew. Another like almost Data-like creature and character trying to make it among humans.
Okay. 7 of 9, tertiary adjunct of Unimatrix 01. Okay. Okay, right. This is an interesting character in her own right, and she was, of course, intended to introduce a foil to Kathryn Janeway in the similar way as Spock was in the original Star Trek series. Jeri Ryan, of course, played a role. She definitely had a sort of icy, off-putting, sort of detached demeanor to her.
That just made her all the more sexy. I had to go there. I'm sorry. I'm totally guy talk. She's gorgeous, man.
Yeah, she was gorgeous, but I felt she lacked a bit of depth, But she didn't wear those cat suits. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Jesus Christ! Oh my Lord. Must be wicked.
Oh man.
Bombshell. Oh my goodness.
Yes. Woo. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, her character wasn't really like the best character. She did have her moments, but I felt her character was lacking in certain parts. I felt she didn't really get quite a sense of a huge kind of development of her character, but I felt she was a bit of okay character all around. She was brought in as an attempt to boost view ratings, especially among the male core members, the male members of the core.
I think that worked.
But she was okay all around.
You gotta admit though, she got more development than Kes did. I'm like, why didn't you just put in that same development with Kes that you did with 7 of 9? What did you just? I don't know. I don't know why she got more development instead of Kes, but oh well. It is what it is. Like almost 20 years ago. Can't really do anything about it now. Anyway, so season 4. I can't remember a lot of episodes from that time. I just remember it was still enjoyable. God, I'm suffering here right now. Maybe I really should have binge watched Voyager again before starting this because I can't remember too much about it. I'm ashamed to say that Voyager is the one I know. I'm beating a dead horse with that one. I just remember liking season 4. It was good to me. Chris, can you remember anything about season 4?
It wasn't like I said. It was okay. It wasn't spectacular. It did feel to me a bit times like the original series. Made for the 90s television market. I felt Voyager was relatively safe and didn't really take any risk. And I felt this series was no exception. I felt they should have done more with the storytelling. It did have its moments, especially with the holodeck episode, the Killing Game.
Oh, the Hyrogens, yes, they were definitely an interesting alien race.
Yeah, wonderful creation all around. Year of Hell was another.
Oh wait, I thought that was season 5. I can't remember.
Yeah, this was season 4. Yeah, Year of Hell. Okay. Was a great episode.
Solid episode. Solid 2-parter.
It was solid. Another solid episode was, Message in the Bottle, where Andy Dick, is that, with the Doctor trying to go onto another starship, I
remember that one. Yeah.
Send a message. The Voyagers, the Voyagers
world
around. The crew is still alive. Another great episode is Living Witness.
Oh yeah, that's right. The the one where the Doctor's holo emitter is activated after like 700 years.
Yes, and he's trying to tell some sort of story, and who believes that Voyager was an evil warship. It's like it's not. That was great Star Trek right there. It played to the series' strengths. And it has some great writing all around. Great acting. I thought. But really this season, didn't really do much for me. Like I said, it's just like it was fluff, to me.
You brought up that episode like the Whisper. I think that's the name of it with the Doctor's holo emitter. I noticed a lot like season 4 and season 5. There were a lot of episodes there were quite a number of episodes that seemed to show like like future episodes where like Voyager either makes it to Earth or fails, and a lot of episodes like things went wrong. And I seem to notice a lot of there was another episode where Kim, Chakotay, and a couple other characters like Voyager crash landed before it reached Earth, and Kim and Chakotay survived. They got back and went to try to fix everything. Like there was another episode that I enjoyed that one too. I can't remember the name of it.
That was season 5.
That was season 5. Yeah. There were a lot of episodes like that, and I thought those were good episodes.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, season 5 again, kind of like the same thing as season 4. Although I think I'm trying to remember. I know season 5 had a standout episode where it's like Paris is in jail. He's committed a violation of the Prime Directive. He gets demoted to ensign and spends 30 days at a holding break. I thought that was a well done episode. But I can't remember what if it's either season 5 or season 6. At this point, those 3 seasons kind of like blended into me. There wasn't really much that stood out for those. But I can't remember. It was one episode where we get to see Barclay again, and he's trying to establish contact with Voyager by creating a wormhole. I think it was
micro wormhole. That was season 6.
Okay, that was season 6.
Yeah.
These seasons are starting to blend in for me. I really got to watch Voyager again. My God. I'm getting confused. I think at this point, you just, seasons 4, 5, and 6, we see Voyager trying to make more efforts, trying to make their way home. We get more accustomed, like the Hydrogens and Species 8472, more stuff with the Borg. One thing I did notice, and I'm like, I don't know why the hell they bothered to introduce these guys if they were just going to drop them later. By season 4, we completely lost contact with the Kazons, who were like the big baddies of the first couple of seasons. I'm like, we never saw them again after season 4. And I'm like, what the hell?
For good reason.
Yeah. I just don't even, I don't know why they bothered introducing them if they were going to drop them by that point. I mean, if you look at like the first 3 seasons, there was always like a consistent baddie. With the original series, it was a Klingon. Next Generation, it was the Romulan. Deep Space Nine, it was the Cardassians. And even when the Dominion came about, the Cardassians were still bad guys. I mean, with Voyager, you're getting like, first it was the Kazons, then Species 8472, then the Borg, then the Hydrogen. It's like, can you not have, I know you're in another region of space, but can you at least just be consistent with your baddies, please? Like, come on now. That was definitely a weak part of Voyager. I'll give you that. I mean, too many baddies. Stick with one big one, okay? It's like, geez. Not too much to say about like the next 3 seasons. Like I think around like seasons 5 and 6 that Paris and Torres start to have a romance. I love Kim's early attempt to try to get into 7 of 9. That was always, those are always enjoyable moments. Not too much to say about seasons 4, 5, or 6, truth be told. I can't remember too much. Although the season finale of season 6, that 2-parter Unimatrix Zero, I thought that was a very well done episode. There's this dreamland where the Borg exists in this other area without their cybernetic parts, where they're actual beings again. I thought that was a very solid 2-parter and very well written. I can't really say much about the next 3 seasons. So, Chris, do you have anything you want to add about like seasons 4, 5, and 6 before we discuss Unimatrix Zero? Because that was definitely a highlight 2-parter for me.
You know, season 4 definitely was an okay season. Wasn't the best, you know. Same here with season 5. Like I said, a lot of okay episodes, not a lot. Like I said, they're not, not. There's some great episodes. There's some great moments, but not really great television as a whole. Like I said, there are standouts, especially, there was a particular episode called Drone, where we find a Borg drone from the 29th century, and 7 of 9 is teaching the lessons about humanity, I don't know if you remember that one, but I like the wonder and the mystery that it has. And this very curious half cybernetic, half organic creatures having about humanity, and it's great Star Trek, right? That's great Star Trek right there. The episode you were talking about, where it's 15, where Chakotay and Kim, it's 15 years of the future, and then since Voyager crashed on the planet, they're trying to change time. It's timeless. That's the name. That was a great Star Trek episode, and Garrett Wang, who plays Aston Kim, gives the best performance as that character. He's this bitter, this guy who's a bitter, cynical version of his very naive younger self. He just plays the hell of it, gives a powerful performance in that whole thing. And another good episode was Dark Frontier, the 2-parter.
Afraid I don't remember that one.
The one where 7 of 9 says she wants to go back to the Borg collective.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that one now.
Yeah, we see the Borg Queen again. That was great. That was some good, solid entertainment.
Who played the Borg Queen in that 2-parter?
Susanna Thompson, Moira Queen.
Arrow alum.
Oh my God.
It gives you giggles when you think about that. Actually, no, there were some other episodes that stood out, like season 6, especially when we meet these Borg children who have escaped the collective, and they come on board Voyager, and we see 7 of 9 trying to teach them to assimilate into humanity. And I thought that was cool. That was a good way to develop her character, kind of make her a teacher. And I also loved her interactions with Ensign Wildman's child, Naomi. Naomi always looked up to 7 of 9 a second mom, but you see 7 trying to growing in the role, never really expected that. I thought those were some good character moments. She definitely had a lot of character moments in the later season, not with the Borg children, but with Naomi Wildman. Excuse me. I thought those were good character moments. So not a lot of standout episodes, but standout moments of development for a lot of these characters, especially 7 to 9 in the later seasons.
Yeah.
And then of course the season 6 episode where we have Barclay return. They make contact with Voyager. I just remember, the crew's reaction, getting that, oh my gosh, we can make it home. They're not that far off. Blah blah blah. Another episode that stood out to me from I can't remember if it was 5 or 6. I can't remember the name of the episode, but it was an episode where they come across the Class Y demon planet. Do you remember that one? And I think some of the characters get cloned, or I can't remember the plot details too much.
I think I do. I think I know what you're talking about. They find duplicates of these of the Voyager crew, and I think I'm not sure that was. I'm not sure what to think of that episode, really.
All right. Well, let's talk about that Unimatrix Zero 2-parter. I thought that was an extremely well done episode. Seeing Borg assimilated drones, being themselves again in this other world, and Voyager's mission to kind of reinsert their humanity back into their drones while they're not asleep. And I thought that was Star Trek at its finest. I really loved it, and it was a great way to kind of set up the final season of Voyager. So Chris, why don't you talk a little about Unimatrix Zero? Do you remember that at 2-part, and what'd you think?
Oh yeah, I remember that definitely, especially when it first aired. I thought it was a good episode, not a great episode. It definitely had, I felt they could spend some time to develop the characters, especially some of the guest characters. I mean, it was like a, it was an, I mean, if I was in like a well done episode with great action sequences and the cliffhanger to make you go, I had to find out what happens next, but it was okay episode, not the best, I mean, it definitely, it was serviceable. It was serviceable at best.
All right, so let's move on to like the final season. There are a lot of standout episodes, like Voyager gets a mission from Starfleet. Doctor writes a book. A lot of good moments. Not too much to say about it, except for the finale. My God, I don't think I've ever seen like a series finale that has excited and angered me so much. This finale was like a roller coaster of emotions to me. Like the plot of it starts solo. You see, like it starts up in like the distant future. Like Voyager finally returns to Earth. It only took them 23 years to make it home. But we see that 7 of 9 or Chakotay died. A lot of the characters aren't themselves anymore. Tuvok's mentally messed up. So an elderly Admiral Janeway travels back in time to find her younger self. Tells her, you got to find another way to make it home. I can help you. The Borg's trying to stop them. I remember this was notable because the Borg Queen this time was played by Alice Krug, who played her in Star Trek First Contact.
Mm-hmm, yes.
So yeah, it was just an amazing episode. The plot was well done. The action was great. The tension was phenomenal. It was leading to such this an amazing epic build-up, and then it just ends. I freaking hated that. This was the most abrupt ending ever. Like they get back to Earth. They finally get back to Earth after 7 years, and that's it. Nothing else. Like there's no meeting. There's no like family reunions. There's nothing. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You're gonna end it like that? Like, oh, that pissed me off so much. Like a roller coaster of emotion, a phenomenal but disappointing ending to Voyager. Like, oh my God. Like it's one of those episodes like I love it and I hate it at the same time. So yeah, that's what I gotta say about season 7 and the finale. I was a little sad that Neelix left after like the third to last episode. Like he stays in the Delta Quadrant. I would have liked to have seen him gone back to Earth, but minor little thing. Chris, season 7, the finale. I mean, the floor is yours, man. Go.
I wish I had a lot of good things to say about this season and this series in particular, but I don't. Especially with this when it comes to this season. Oh my God. It's like the writers didn't even give a damn anymore. It's just like, oh my God. It's like these half-assed written episodes and directed, like I said, this series is derivative of other Star Trek series, There were some okay episodes here and there. The one about, where the Voyager crew loses their memories, and I think the episode was called Workforce. That was a good episode. I mean, and then the finale. I mean, the second part wasn't as good, but it's still pretty good overall. I think Q's last appearance in this series, which I had some great things to say about that, but I don't.
Wait, whose last appearance?
Q's last appearance on this series.
Oh yeah. The sun.
Yes.
That was funny.
That was so full of shit.
No, it wasn't. Shut up.
No.
Your son was funny.
No, it wasn't.
Janeway trying to discipline his god. Like, how do you do that?
Oh, it was lame.
Those moments were awesome. I love it.
Oh, what is wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? Q and Janeway.
What's wrong with you? I can't believe like that crap.
I love it.
I can't believe I'm. But the finale, I did like Arthur. The episode where the Doc's trying to write a whole graphic novel. That was pretty funny in itself, But the finale
wasn't funny. I thought it was like well done, but funny, no.
No, it was funny.
No, it wasn't. It was good. It was well written, but it wasn't funny.
It had a lot of wit to it. Oh my god.
Yeah, wit, but I mean, not like funny.
But yeah, the finale.
Ugh.
Oh god, what the fuck were they thinking? It was a mess. You know, it is like it had poor writing to it. You know, I mean, it was uneven. It was just like, you know, it reminded me of all good things, but in a bad way. I mean, it was a disappointing way to end the series. I mean, it's like, and it's proves why I think this is the worst Star Trek series. It's like it just didn't live up to what I said. They didn't, you know, love it. I mean, they didn't give it any effort. You know.
Well, I think, you know, if the finale aired, I think in 2002.
2001.
I think it 2001.
Yeah. So,
okay, so I mean, at that point they were working on like Star Trek Enterprise at that point, so that might explain why. You know, they were working on Enterprise, and maybe that's why, you know, there was so less effort brought in for Voyager. So that might explain a couple things.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I mean, I guess at the same time, like, you know, they were working on. They were probably in pre-development of Enterprise in 2000, and they were still working on like season 5 or 6 of Voyager when the finale of Deep Space Nine aired out, and that series finale was great. Like, why couldn't they put the same effort for Voyager into it? I'm like, come on.
Yeah, sure.
It was just that ending that pissed me off. It's like, you're gonna end it like that? What the fuck? Oh God. You know, give us a reunion of some families or something. You know, it's like. My God.
Jesus.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else you want to bring up for Voyager, or are we all set?
I have nothing else to bring up, especially with this series. No, I don't have any. I said all I needed to say.
All right. God, I need to watch Voyager again. I cannot remember anything about it. It's like, that's a sin. And coming from a Star Trek family like mine, I cannot remember about it. I got to rewatch it. Okay, guys, so that's going to wrap up episode 4 of Voyager. Chris, thanks for being here. This was actually pretty fun.
I actually enjoy talking these things with you, Paul, especially, you know, with this. You know, great to be here, you know.
Yeah. All right, next week's episode 26, that is the final episode of Star Trek Month. We will be discussing Star Trek Enterprise, and then we will be discussing the 2 J.J. Abrams Star Trek films. And of course, with this being the final episode of the month, we will also have our monthly collection updates. Hopefully, we will have more people joining the show. We will hopefully have Caleb, Jack, and Max joining us for next week, because although they have not seen Star Trek Enterprise, they have seen the 2 J.J. films. So I know they're going to want to be in here to talk about those. So hopefully we'll have a larger crowd next time. But until then, we will see you next week. Have a great day.
All right.